Welcome to Paris. As you can tell, there's the Eiffel Tower, and the Champ de Mars arena where we are is at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. That is the evening session that you've got coming up. You could not wish for four better teams: Canada, Japan, Great Britain, France. Everything to play for between Canada and Japan. Canada have won one, lost one so far. Japan won both of their matches, so this is do or die for the Canadians. Two matches coming in this session. The session is about to get underway with the coup de bâton, which is what we have in France. We've had it at the Olympics and the Paralympics. And it's what we are having, it's what you have at the theatre to start off the show. It's to let the audience know, to take their seats, that the entertainment is about to start.
International wheelchair rugby player
Nicolas Rioux.
Nicolas Rioux, former wheelchair rugby player, so he's getting a huge reception in here. European bronze medalist, and he is going to give us the 3 taps of the baton to tell us to get ready. Merci, Nicolas. Yes, it's still done, even to this day. It started hundreds of years ago. 3 taps of the stick to let you know that it was time to take your seats. Joseph Bongiovanni and Łukasz Śliczak are the referees here. So these are the standings in Pool A. Germany are out of it. USA are pretty much through. Japan will be through with a win today. They're pretty comfortable. Canada know that they need to win if they want to make it through to the semi-final. So it's going to be a big ask for the Canadians.
number 7 Byron Green.
Patrick Coté is their coach. One of very few coaches in wheelchair rugby at this level who isn't in a wheelchair. Out come the Canadians, all 12 of them. You can see on their chairs, on the back of them, that there are numbers. This is just for those of you who don't play or watch regularly. Have a look at those numbers. You can see a 2,0. It's a comma as opposed to a decimal point, because we're in France, and that's what we have here. And it represents the classification of the players, anything between 0.5 and 3.5. Here's a good example of a 3.5, one of the best 3.5s in the world, Zach Medell. As you can tell, looking at him, he's got a lot of trunk and core strength, so he is one of the highest classifications. You can see there, anything between 0.5 and 3.5. You can have 8 points on the court at any one time to be divided between 4 players. So it's up to Patrick Coté to decide who goes out there when, moving around the lineups. This is how Canada have done so far, lost by 3 points to the USA. Tough for them. They lost in the final of the Paralympic Games to the USA, which meant that they didn't qualify directly for this tournament. They had to go via the last chance saloon qualification tournament that was held down in Wellington in March of this year. Now, Kurahashi Kae, the only female player on the court in this particular match. And the advantage with female players is that you're allowed an extra 0.5 out on the court when they are playing. So Japan, if they have Kurahashi Kae out there, then they can play 8.5. It'll be interesting to see the lineups that the 2 teams come out with, particularly Japan. They've got a youngster who is 3.5 pointer, Hashimoto, just coming out now. And then the rest, they've got a lot of very good 3-pointers, in particular the captain Ike Yukinobu, and then Ikezaki Daisuke. He's down there as a 1, he actually should be a 3. They've got some very good 3-pointers, and Kishi Kotaro is the man charged with working out who's going to go out there when Japan thrashed Germany and also defeated the United States, and that puts them in the box seat at the top of their group. National anthems first.
Si vous pouvez, merci de rester debout pour l'hymne national du Japon.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Japan.
Two national anthems. Plenty of fans for each team in the crowd already here at the Champ de Mars. It's not full yet. I can tell you it's going to be full in a couple of hours' time when France take on Great Britain. A couple of Swiss fans there who've thrown their lot in with Japanese. It's a big family, is wheelchair rugby, and you get fans that you start to recognize, of course the players that you start to recognize. This is the starting lineup for Canada. So they're going high, mid, low, so a balanced lineup. Cody Caldwell and Anthony Letourneau, a couple of two-pointers, along with Zach Medell out there, and Eric Rodriguez, who gets the starting nod. And then for Japan, 3-3-1-1, that is their favored lineup, with the Ikezaki, the two Ikes. Yukinobu is the captain, and Ikezaki Daisuke with the shock of blonde hair. That's their two three-pointers. They've got very good three-pointers. Not classified at 3-5, but 3. And that means that the other two players that they play can be one-pointers. So they have a little bit more function than an out-and-out low pointer, the 0.5 pointers. So that's an advantage for Japan. You'll see that when the low pointers are inbounding the ball, ones with a little bit more function. It's a real advantage for them. Opening tip-off to come. And the tip is immediately won from one Ike to another, from Ike to Ikezaki. Be easy to recognize Ikezaki, that blonde hair and the glasses. And he pops one over the top to Ike. Ike is also easy to recognize because he's so tall in his chair. Talking about trunk and core function, you can see how tall number 21 sits in his chair. And through goes Ikezaki, Japan first on the board. Start with a tip-off, and then after that, start of the second, third and fourth quarters, possession alternates. You can see an arrow there on the scorer's table pointing in the direction that Canada are attacking in, and Canada will get the next contested possession either at the start of the second quarter, or if we get a held ball, if two opposing players hold onto the ball at the same time. The advantage for Japan having two three-pointers out there is that one of them can throw long passes almost the length of the court, and the other one can race onto it and wheel it in. Anthony Letourneau, he's got 10 seconds in which to inbound, and he does it to Zach Medel. Medel's going to pin back his ears. He's the one with the highest classification out there at the moment, 3.5. You can see a shot clock in the middle of your screen there, ticking down to 18, 17. You've also got it on the scoreboard. 40 seconds allowed in which to score. You will forgive me, those of you who know me on commentary know that I like to go through a bit of housekeeping, because not everybody is a regular either watching or playing this sport, so we need to go through the rules every so often just in case. 40 seconds possession. Within the first 12 seconds, you need to get the ball over the halfway line. So that is going to be the first task here. Cody Caldwell to Anthony Letourneau. Letourneau's got to get it over the line before it gets down to 28. He's also got to bounce or pass the ball every 10 seconds. And it's being passed at the moment. Caldwell pops over the line. Those are the main rules. We'll talk about timeouts a little bit later when they're taken. Route 1 stuff from Japan at the moment, with the two three-pointers out there, long passes, very much the order of the day. Ideally in wheelchair rugby, you don't want to pass. The more you pass, the greater the chance of dropping the ball, losing it, and it being a turnover. So, I said we'd talk about timeouts. One has just been taken there by Cody Caldwell. You can see the shot clock is down to 30. He'd got 2 seconds in which to get the ball over the halfway line. He might have done it. He might well have lost it. You could see there was no one really for him to pass to. The nearest person to him was Eric Rodriguez, a 0.5 pointer who wouldn't have done a lot with the ball. He's there primarily to block, to get in the way of the quicker players. So Caldwell decided to take a timeout. That resets the shot clock. So they've got enough time now to get over the halfway line. Those player timeouts, or the players tend to call them floor timeouts because it's taken by those who are out on the floor. You've got 4 of those. Canada have used 1 of their 4 already. Popped over the top by Medel, and Caldwell gets the try. Coaches have timeouts as well. They last for a minute, and they've got 2 of those. Those can be used tactically as well to make substitutions, for example. Substitutions can be made at any time, but only when the ball is dead. So, not after a try, for example. Medel there, having a good push on Kusaba. Ryuji is his first name, and he's a recent addition to the team. 11 of the 12 Japan squad were present in Vejle in the west of Denmark at the end of 2022 at the World Championships, where Japan went into it more or less as favourites and then lost in the semi-finals to the USA and ended up coming away with a bronze medal. So 11 of the 12 there, and then 1 new player, and that is the youngster Kusaba Ryuji, 23 years old, a one-pointer. The first turnover goes the way of the Japanese. Zach Medel in the bin. The that push on Kusaba, so Medel had to go into the sin bin. For 1 minute or until the opposition scores, and that is what's happened. The opposition have scored, and it came from the first turnover. Canada finding themselves 3-on-4 while Medel was in the bin, and more importantly, they were 4.5 playing 8, because Zach Medel is 3.5 points worth of player. Ike just about getting it over the halfway line in time, and Ikezaki had the wheels to outsmart Letourneau. So Canada finding themselves not quite behind the 8 ball just yet, but still a couple of scores behind. They're in possession now. They didn't want to concede an early turnover. Excellent defense there from Japan. You can see 3 out of the 4 in the key, and that was patted away absolutely beautifully. It's another turnover, and that was one of their one-pointers. Ogawa, number 23, gets a hand in there. Ogawa is an absolutely outstanding player. 30 years old, Ogawa Hitoshi from Tokyo. He was voted best in class at the last and biggest warm-up tournament ahead of the Paralympics held in Canada, the Canada Cup, held every year, and it had the top 6. So the 6 teams here at this competition who are going to finish first, second and third in their various groups. Canada, Japan, Australia, Great Britain, France and the USA, and it was Japan who emerged victorious. Everyone plays everyone in that tournament, round robin, and Japan beat everyone in the group stages. The other teams tended to share the wins out amongst themselves, and then Japan defeated Australia in the final. And Japan had 3 players voted best in class. Ogawa, best one-pointer. Ikezaki, best three-pointer, and Ike Yukinobu was the MVP of the tournament. Japan 3 points clear. Now you can see next to the Japan bench that there are 3 players to the left of your screen there in the substitution box. You can come off and on at any time. Once you've come off, you can come back on, as Medel tries to barge one of the Japanese players over the line and cause a penalty try. He's got 5 seconds to score, and he does indeed set up his teammate. So players can come on off and on when there's a dead ball, but they have to be waiting in the substitution box already. 3 of them waiting there for Japan, 3 also waiting for Canada. You can see them either side of the scorers table in the middle. So expect some substitutions if there is a turnover, a lost ball. Ikezaki having to bounce that one there every 10 seconds. Medel reaching in, trying to steal it from him. Letourneau trying to steal it from him, and it's a reaching foul called by referee Smichak. You can see Letourneau comes in there, makes contact, difficult to see from that angle, but makes contact with the body. So, dead ball, that means Japan can make plenty of substitutions. Letourneau can't be substituted off because he's in the bin at the bottom of your screen there. Hashimoto comes on. The young 3.5 pointer Ikezaki takes a break. Norimatsu is on as well. Ike stays on, and Kurahashi Kae is on as well. There she is, bottom of your screen. So that means Japan currently playing 3-5-3-1-5.5. They can play 8.5 points, courtesy of Kurahashi, giving them an extra 0.5 points. Letourneau boxed in, needs to get it over the halfway line. And gets it over the halfway line, but not in a satisfactory way. Tried to throw it to Medel and had his pocket picked by Hashimoto, who cruises over. There is an impact substitute. The ball isn't dead, but a coach's timeout has been called by Patrick Coté. So a Coté's timeout, if you will. Gives us a chance to appreciate the wheels of Hashimoto. Hashimoto Katsuya, 22 years old, made his debut 5 years ago. As a teenager, plays for the Tohoku Stormers. Was part of the Paralympic team 3 years ago. Ten seconds to inbound. You can see referee Bongiovanni counting out, pacing his arm out left and right, and he's doing the same now to indicate, and he'll also be counting to tell the players, to give the players a count so that they can get over the halfway line within the 12 seconds. Always good to have a look at the referees, see the good job that they do. A lot of running doing, so referee Smichak now counting out. And then Hashimoto will not quite get that one. Yes, it was given. Referee Bongiovanni said that he got control of the ball before the casters, the front two wheels, rolled over the line. You need to be in possession of the ball before your wheels cross the line. And once two wheels cross the line, you score the try. Rio Kandakovac has come on for Canada. Trevor Hirschfield on there as well. Patrice Dagenet out there, as well as Zach Medel. Canada keep it to within 3. Now we're into the final 90 seconds. And it's times like these that coaches start to call set plays. Particularly, so you'll get set plays, little names or pictograms coming up to tell the teams what to do. Now, for Japan, it's not so much a set play because they're 4 on 3. Trevor Hirschfield in the bin for a reaching foul, so they will have been told when to score. So this is why Ike is taking his time. Why when to score? Well, what you want to do is have the last possession and the last score of any quarter. If you can do that in all 4 quarters, that's a 4-point advantage for your team. So Ike is going to let the scoreboard run down to 55 seconds and then cross the line. There we go. Why 55? Well, possession lasts a maximum of 40 seconds. So even if Canada take the full 40 coming up, Japan will have at least 15 seconds in which to have 1 more possession and get the final score. Canada 4 points adrift. All they want to do is score. It's the only thing they're worried about at the moment. Medel remembers to bounce. Canada not setting up, Japan not setting up in the key. They've gone for a high-low, really, so Kandakovac is out there. They've got a lot of good points in terms of classifications out there. And a timeout is called by Kandakovac. Now, that is another tactical move. You can see 15.6 seconds left on the match clock. The shot clock is reset to 15 seconds. So if Canada can wind it down and score just before time expires, they will get the last score. So that's why they've burnt a timeout to do it. Means they've used 2 of their 4 floor timeouts. Hirschfield with a corner side inbound. It's not the easiest of inbounds there. Medel now has got 13 seconds to try to race over the line. You'll hear his teammates counting down. Well, that was a legitimate hit there by Hashimoto. And if a player takes the ball to the floor once the hit is legitimate, because he hits him in the front half of the wheel. So timeout called by Zach Medel. Otherwise, if he'd have taken the ball to ground, it would have been the equivalent of a knock-on in rugby league or rugby union, and it would have been a turnover. So Medel calls another timeout. That's 3 of the 4 floor timeouts taken by Canada already. And so, doesn't reset the shot clock. They've now got a corner inbound, which is really awkward, and 4.7 seconds in which to try to score. Time will start ticking once the inbounded ball is touched by a player or a chair. 10 seconds in which to inbound before the clock starts. Hirschfeld needs to get it in, tries to find Medel, and it goes out. So that's 2 timeouts burned by Canada, and all for nothing. The clock didn't restart because it wasn't touched, so that means that Japan now have to corner inbound. They now have 5.2 seconds from now to try to score, but they're not going to do it. They're just going to keep it. Ike keeps it in his lap safely, and Shinakawa, sorry. And Japan lead at the first break, 13-9. Japan fans are going to be the happier of the 2 teams at the moment. 13-9, a 4-point lead. They did everything right. They got the first score. They got the last score. They got Canada to burn 3 of their timeouts, so they've only got 1 left, the Canadians. That means you're going to see a lot of harem-scarum passes from the Canadians later on as they desperately try to get the ball over the halfway line within the allotted 12 seconds. 3 steals from Japan, 1 turnover committed by Canada, and that is why Japan find themselves 4 points to the good. Solemn moments here in the Champ de Mars before we got underway, and as soon as we did get underway, the tip was won almost uncontested really by Canada. Tip was won by Japan, and the combination of Ike and Ikezaki went to work. Ikezaki pops that one over the top to Ike, a former wheelchair basketball player. You can see that in him. Get a lot of wheelchair basketball players who also play wheelchair rugby. A lot of sharing between the 2 sports. Here at Wheelchair Rugby, we don't try to steal them. We're more than happy to share. And the high pointers in wheelchair rugby tend to be low pointers in wheelchair basketball. A lot of similarities, though. We'll maybe see at some point an over and back, which is the equivalent of a backcourt violation in basketball. That means if you've taken the ball into the attacking half, the half that you're attacking, you can't then take it back. And you'll rarely see players roll backwards. Quite often, though, you'll see a wheelchair that is half over the line. And if you're in possession of the ball and half over the line and get knocked back even an inch, even a centimetre, a millimetre by one of your opponents, you're moving backwards with the ball over the line. So that is an over and back violation. Maybe we'll see one of those coming up. Second of 4 quarters, 4 8-minute quarters to get underway. Canada with the possession arrow. And as soon as they inbound, the arrow in the middle of your screen is going to change direction. There it goes, meaning that the next contested possession, either a held ball or at the start of the 3rd quarter, will go the way of Japan. Canada still with Medel, Kanda Kovac, Dagenet and Hirschfeld out there, so 3-5, 2-5, 1-1. And for Japan, they are going as high-low as they possibly can. Hashimoto, Ikezaki, Ogawa, and Hasegawa. So 3-5-3, 1, and 0.5. Hasegawa, the number 2, easy to recognize. He's the other one with the dyed blonde hair. Good inbound there from Hirschfeld. He's a one-pointer, but very good on inbounds. Usually the low pointers who inbound, because you have to be off the court to inbound, and you don't want to take points off the court, so it's better to take 0.5 or 1 point off the court rather than a 3.5 pointer. All of these the fine details that you come to learn the more you watch, and the more you appreciate the details, the more you appreciate wheelchair rugby as a sport. So first floor timeout taken by Japan. Ikazaki was boxed in there. Realized he wouldn't get it over the halfway line. Good hands, 3.5, sending it forward to three-pointer. As we're talking about the classifications, it's always good. You can see there a lot of blocking going on. So Japan trying to block Zach Medell. There he is to the right of your screen, trying to get free. And luckily for Canada, Kanda Kovac could get free. The ball's got free. And it's going to be difficult for Dagenet to pick up. It was picked up by Ikazaki. It's picked off. Ball came loose. Kanda Kovac tried to play the pass. It came loose there. And that's another turnover. Can get it into the lap in the hands of Zach Medell. That's the best thing to do for Canada. They find themselves 4-point adrift. Ogawa with the inbounds. Reminder, he's got 10 seconds to do it before the clock starts. Hashimoto, 3.5 pointer, so great core strength. Can do that chest pass forward for Ikazaki. Medell gets himself free. And now watch how the likes of Hirschfeld, Dagenet trying to block people like Hashimoto so that he can't defend against Medell. He got there at the end, but he was slowed down earlier by the low pointers for Canada. So every so often during a passage of play, watch the low pointers. Here it's obviously a battle of the wheels, and Medell wins the race and gets the first turnover that Japan have committed. Of course, just as I say, it's why don't you watch the low pointers for a second? There's a wheel race between two 3.5 pointers. One of the most spectacular parts of this sport. Medell barges his way through. Hashimoto disappointed with his lack of speed there, but it was a rather ambitious pass that was thrown out for him. Four-point lead for Japan. 10 of those tries, of the 18 tries, having come from Ikazaki. So Japan now setting up in the key. The painted blue area there. You're allowed 3 defenders at any one time in the key. You have 4 in there, and occasionally attackers will try to push the 4th defender in there. And either the defender goes off to the bin or there's a penalty try. Similar to basketball, if you're an attacker, you can only be in the key, in the paint, for a maximum of 10 seconds. Now, the hooter tells you that a coach's timeout has been taken. This time, it was by Kishi Kotaro. And the main reason that he took his coach's timeout was to make a few changes. So Ike back on, you can see him there. Kurahashi, she's coming up to help out, to try to block Zach Medel. Bounces off, and that is picked off. Fortuitous bounce, but well read indeed by Kanda Kovac, who's raced up the other end. And, well, whisper it quietly, but that's 2 turnouts in a row for the Canadians, who get themselves to within 2 points. They have halved the deficit. That was a great half interception by Kanda Kovac, and then Hirschfield, a one-pointer, managing to corral that ball so well. The one-pointers tend to be those who've had spinal cord injuries. The low to mid-pointers. And then the high pointers tend to be what are known as quad amputees in the game. And it's a great sport in that there's room for everyone. You can only have 8 points on the court at any one time. Now that was a legitimate hit. So down has gone, trying to see which player it is. Shinakawa has gone down, so he's picked back up. Now it was a legitimate hit, and Canada were bearing down on the try line. If you don't deviate from the try line, just get there directly, then play is allowed to continue. So play continued there, and the deficit's only 2. Well, how about that for a 3rd turnover in a row? Shinakawa couldn't corral that one. It was another, that was a very diagonal pass there from Ike. So all of a sudden, Canada find themselves with an opportunity to get to within 1 point. Key defense. Out they come. 15 seconds to go, so time yet. Kanda Kovac gets in there. He can't stay in there for 10 seconds, but it doesn't matter because Medel goes over the line. And it's a 1-point game. Ike to Ikezaki, safe pair of hands. Medel up for the challenge, as is Hirschfield. Ikezaki doubles the lead. Important for Canada to maintain a rhythm here. They've got 3 turnovers already in this quarter alone. No need to desperately try to get 4th ones. Japan are the ones who are a little bit nervous at the moment. Ikezaki needs to get it over the halfway line, does so. Medel heads him off at the pass. Kanda Kovac tries to head off Ike. Hirschfield to Kanda Kovac. Dagenet with the block. Another good block from Hirschfield. And then, yep, give it to that man, Medel. Medel back to Kanda Kovac. That's a combination that's working well at the moment. Ikezaki needs to get it over the halfway line. Does. Now all of a sudden he's got a load of room ahead of him there fires that one off to Nakamachi, and you probably heard a hiss there. That was air escaping from Ikezaki's left wheel, I do believe, so the mechanics are gonna... Oh, there's a lot of dyed blonde hair. Great pass from Hashimoto. Caresses that ball over the line. Hirschfeld, great inbound. Medel makes almost a little bit of a hash of it, but then fires out a chest pass to Kanda Kovac. Canada working with a good rhythm at the moment. Inbounds from Hirschfeld. Medel picking up the ball. Kanda Kovac getting loose, getting free. Ikazaki free, though. He was always going to be able to outpace Dagenais. .222 on the match clock left. Not quite into the territory of timestamps, although some of the teams now have started to hold up boards telling their players the ideal time to score, with 2.5 minutes to go. Canada just want to keep on scoring, though. 16-12 down at the break. And they've got the deficit down to 1. Ikazaki gets clear. Ike, the basketball player, firing out the passes. Nakamachi as well. So they've gone for a very balanced lineup. They can have 8.5 points out there because Kurahashi is out there. Great defense from Canada. Trevor Hirschfeld there. Yeoman's work. Medel's not going to let them through. You can hear the countdown. How about that? The mid-pointer gets over the line. He placed himself perfectly in the key. Well-worked try. Now Garrett Hickling is holding up a board saying 1-0-5. Garrett Hickling, a Hall of Famer. Arguably Canada's best ever player, but maybe equal with this man here. Assistant coach, and he's told Zach Medel to score at 105. Why? Well, as we discussed earlier, it's try to get the last score. Canada can get the last score. They can get it to within 1. Now, scoring is the most important thing. And there they go. They did it with 1:01 to go. So that means that even if Japan take all 40 seconds, even if they take 40 plus a timeout, which is 55, Canada will still have a possession. Of course, to negate that, what teams like to do is to score really quickly, and that's what Japan have done. So, 49.5 seconds left. Even if Canada use all 40 seconds, they're not going to burn a timeout on it. They've only got 1 left. Even if they use all 40 seconds, Japan will have 9.4 seconds in which to score. Kanda Kovac needs to get it over the halfway line. Medel needs to get himself free. Bounces it, does get it over the halfway line. Medel needs to go straight to the try line. Ikazaki was down. Zachary Medel, there we go. That's surely only the name he's given when he's being told off. He's not being told off here, he's just scored. Well, it's been adjudged that Medel was making his way directly to the try line while Ikazaki was down. Legit hit. In fact, it wasn't even a hit, it was just contact. If you hit a player behind the axle, so behind the middle, the midpoint, the little hole in the middle of the wheel, then that's a foul. It's called a spinning foul because it makes your opponent spin. So 31 seconds to go. Japan will look to use all 31 seconds. They've got to inbound, and they have. Who's going to get to this one first? Le Tourneau gets to it. Gives it to Medel. Now, is Medel going to run down the clock? Yes, he is. A huge turnover in the context of this match. 1 point the difference. If Canada can score last after this fourth turnover in the quarter, then they're going to be level. Medel couldn't hang around there too long. You can only be in the key for 10 seconds. Cote telling everyone to get back. Can Japan score? The clock starts now. 8.5 seconds. Ikizaki racing down there. Letourneau, a huge hit, a legitimate hit. It's a turnover. No timeout called, a turnover. Canada now have 3.7 seconds in which to score and take the lead. Where did this come from? Huge hit. Ikizaki needed to call a timeout. Didn't. Lost the ball. And now there's going to be an inbound from the side from Letourneau, who's just provoked that turnover. And somehow, if Medel can get through, I doubt whether he's even going to try. He's going to try. That was close. Tried to punt that one forward. It wasn't quite picked up there by Cody Caldwell. But be that as it may, Canada have pulled level. It's 25 apiece at the big break. What a huge second quarter from Canada. No wonder the Maple Leafs are being brandished in the crowd. We the North, they the North are here. And they brought it. They certainly brought it in the second quarter. 4 points behind at the first break, level at half-time. French in the crowd will obviously have a little bit of an affinity with Canada. We've got Canadian speakers, the likes of Patrick Cote, the coach. And then after that, Anthony Letourneau, Eric Rodrigue, Patrice Dagenet, all French speakers. Medel, solid work, but it was Kanda Kovac, the blonde one there, who impressed me in the second half. It was Canada overall that impressed me. They got real rhythm. Caldwell or Hirschfield, usually Hirschfield with the inbounds. Medel managing to find Kanda Kovac. Japan with real strength and depth, and it's going to be interesting to see how Kishi Kotaro decides to play it in the third quarter. Who he brings on. He's got strength and depth. He needs to decide what the best lineup is. You can see 4 steals to 3, 2 turnovers to 1. So plus 4 steals minus 2 turnovers. That makes 4 minus 2 is 2. 3 steals minus 1 turnover Canada. That makes 2 as well. They've cancelled one another out. Huge first quarter from Japan, huge second quarter from Canada, and a huge second half to come after the 10-minute break.
Vous êtes obligés de faire aussi bien sur le deuxième refrain, je vous préviens. Allez, la reine, tous ensemble.
You can hear the fans enjoying themselves here at the Champ de Mars Arena. And why wouldn't they? Look at this scoreline between two of the top teams in the world. Canada and Japan, 25 apiece. Absolutely nothing to choose between them. The second half gets underway. It's Japan who are going to have the inbound. Japan third in the world, Canada fifth in the world. And here we go. Japan going with Hashimoto, Ike, Ogawa and Hasegawa, so 3-5-3, 1 and 0.5 as Medel tries to reach in there and steal it off his opposite number. Canada going with Medel, Kandakovac, Hirschfield and Dagenet, 3-5-2-5-1-1. Kandakovac finds himself pushed out of the confines of the court. Penalty tries can be given for that, but it wasn't a foregone conclusion that Japan would score. So Kandakovac goes to the bin. It's almost a foregone conclusion now that they will score. So while Ike is setting up to score, one of the Japanese low pointers, Ogawa, is going to set a trap on Kandakovac to make sure he can't come out of the sin bin. He couldn't, so Kandakovac put his arm up and said, "Ref, please let me inbound." It's the only way you can get out when you've been trapped in. And teams do that, making the player coming out of the sin bin, trapping them and forcing them to inbound when it's a high pointer, because that way you're taking the high pointer off the court to make them inbound. Swarming defense from the Japanese. Medel almost pushes Hashimoto's casters over the line, but not quite. Shot clock getting perilously close, but what peril. What peril. Zach Medel. Inbound from Ogawa, the best in class at the Canada Cup 3 months ago. To Ike, long-time captain. And then somehow Ogawa finds himself up the other end of the court, and there we go. pick and roll the length of the court. So at the moment, things dead level, or dead level as of now. And the possession arrow, you can see there, it's pointing in Canada's favor. That's the way they're attacking, from right to left, Canada. So next contested possession, either a jump ball or at the start of the fourth quarter, it'll go Canada's way. Something else that's gone Canada's way, I was going to say the advantage here, it's level on the scoreboard, but the advantage for Japan is that they've got 3 floor timeouts left. They've just used one of those. Ike deciding he wasn't going to get over the halfway line before the 12 seconds were up. Look at him there, though, like the Statue of Liberty, which, of course, was a French design. Standing tall, he does that so well, sits so tall in his chair. The only real comparable for sitting that tall at this level is Hayden Barton-Coots of New Zealand, who didn't make it to this tournament. They hosted the Paralympic qualification tournament in Wellington in March, and they were hoping to finish in the top 3, but it ended up being Australia, Canada, and Germany who got the 3 spots. Kandakovac just about gets the try. He does it by getting towards the line. They were trying to knock him out of play, and I think it's Ogawa who ends up going out of play himself. Yes, Ogawa who goes over the line, or Hashimoto who goes over the line first. And if a defending player goes over the try line, either a penalty or a penalty try. 28 apiece. Ike halted and then pops that over to Hashimoto, who was in control of the ball before his casters were over the line. It made it look as if the ball was over the line, but the casters weren't, and he was in control of it. That is all that matters. Kandakovac had to throw out a risky one, and it's going to be picked off. Equipment timeout required, but Kandakovac had to fire that ball forwards. Shot clock says 35, and that's because it was reset. He was trying to get the ball desperately over the halfway line before the 12 seconds were up, get it to Medel, and it was picked off by Ike. So advantage Japan. Kandakovac thinking that Canada only got 1 timeout left and he didn't want to burn it. It's always better to use a timeout to keep possession though, but easy to say when you're watching, far more difficult when you're out there on the floor. Medel goes solo. Always strikes an impassive figure. The 2 high pointers share it amongst themselves, and then that's a reaching foul from Zach Medel. You'll see referee Bon Giovanni about to signal that one, and we'll see it here. Reaches in. Got a hand on the ball there. Maybe didn't quite get the rub of the green that he was hoping for, so Medel in the bin. It's a dead ball, so it means that substitutions can be made. Le Tourneau is on for Canada, Rodriguez and Caldwell. Zach Medel obviously can't be substituted off. A, because he's in the sin bin, B, because he's Zach Medel and he never goes off. Changes for Japan as well. Ikezaki back out there in place of Hashimoto. And Kusaba is out there. Le Tourneau, the big hitter. It's almost the best of both worlds. Letourneau is a two-pointer. Mid-pointers worth their weight in gold. Defend well, attack well. A good trunk function. Difficult to recognize that as Zach Medel with the cap on. The distinctive shaven head. Talking a lot about classification, as there is another set of changes for Japan, so a coach's timeout must have been called there. And Norimatsu, speaking of shaven heads, the distinctive shaven head of Norimatsu is out there. Hashimoto is back out. And Kurahashi along with Ike, so 3-5, 3, 1-5 and 0.5, which adds up to 8.5, but that's what you can do when Kurahashi is out there. Japan have such a great squad. The fact that they've got 3-pointers in there, almost as good as a 3.5 pointer, but it means you can have an extra half a point down lower in your low pointers. So you can have a 1-pointer instead of a 0.5, and then if you've got a female player out there, maybe you can have a 1.5 pointer. So that's what they're doing with Norimatsu. And it is Norimatsu with the inbound. Great inbound. Look at that for an inbound from a low pointer. He's at the lower end of a mid pointer, you'd say 1.5. Pops it over the top, and Ike is knocked over the line. Japan 2 clear. Japan need to get the defense that they're stopping Canada getting the ball over the halfway line, and how about that for a round the back pass there. Absolutely amazing by Cody Caldwell. Amazing for a 1-pointer as well. Finds Medel. Caldwell won't be able to get it over the line on his own when he's got that much attention. Medel's going to lose the ball here, picks it up just inside and calls timeout. That is the final timeout. You could see 0.7 seconds left. There's nothing. That was the round-the-back pass from Caldwell. Desperation stuff, picked it up, and as soon as he got his hands on the ball, called the timeout. You can either do the timeout symbol or you can say timeout. Providing the referees hear you, then it's all well and good. Letourneau with the inbound, 15 seconds from now. What can Medel do? They burnt a couple of timeouts. They used 2-on-1 play and didn't score, which is a cardinal sin, and Medel manages to get Ike over the line. You can see referee Bongiovanni pushing his hands towards back behind the line and putting an arm up to signify a try had been scored. So a penalty try. Well done on Canada for using that timeout correctly. And now they get back swarming on defense. Caldwell and Letourneau, the mid-pointers. But it's Norimatsu who gets over, courtesy of a lovely pass from his captain, Ike. Letourneau needs to get over the halfway line. Gets it to Caldwell. So, first job done. No panic. 20 seconds still to go. There's a lot of good function out there. A couple of mid-pointers in Letourneau and Caldwell who can hold the ball. But look at that for attention from Ike. Bounce pass and it's picked off. And Norimatsu, oh, big hit from Medel, but Ike is there. And this match is slowly but surely swinging back the way of Japan. They just couldn't find a way through. It was incredible defense from Ike primarily. Medel gets over the halfway line. And there are the mid-pointers combining. Interesting that we haven't seen anything of Mike Whitehead or Matt Deblee, the three-pointers who could come on for Canada. And we haven't seen Rio Kandakovac much in this third quarter. Again, takes a while to get it over the halfway line, but then finds the two mid-pointers. Canada get it back to 2. Reminder that it was level at half-time. 4-point swings this way and that in the first 2 quarters. Japan now winding down the clock. This quarter has whizzed by and we're into the last 25 seconds of it. The shot clock almost the same as the match clock. And that is why Japan are taking all the time in the world. And they'll score as late as they possibly can. You can hear the countdown in Japanese. So, a player has left the court. I do believe it is Caldwell. And no penalty try given, so Caldwell goes to the bin. Japan now looking to score. They've got 8 seconds in which to do so. Norimatsu with the inbound, 7.9. As soon as it's touched, the clock starts. Can they defend stoutly, Canada? 8.5 points. And there they go. It was never going to work. 8.5 points against 6 points out on court. 1.3 seconds left. I think they're just going to make sure it's not picked off. And that's exactly what happens. A third period that went very much the way of Japan, and they lead it 37-34. Medel and Ike toweling off. It's an air-conditioned arena that we're in, a purpose-built arena at the Champ de Mars. But they are working up a sweat out there, particularly Japan, 37-34, winning that third quarter 12-9. Anytime you can keep your opponents to single figures in a quarter, you know you've done a good job. Twice as many steals for Japan, twice as many turnovers, but it's only 2-1. So overall, Japan are +4, Canada are +2, and that's the difference at the moment. Kandakovac looking good early in the third quarter. Maybe a little bit tired. Seen a lot of game time. He was taken off after a minute or two of this third quarter. And Canada went with a more balanced lineup. A couple of mid-pointers in there in Letourneau and Caldwell. Now we see the mid-pointers combining to set up Zach Medel. But the fact that they only had one timeout left, Canada, and ended up burning it when Medel lost the ball and then got it back very, very well indeed. Good use of the timeout, but it was the last one. And so now Japan a 3-point lead. 2 floor timeouts left. Listen to the crowd here. This is a fantastic arena, and they're seeing a fantastic match between Japan and Canada. Stadium announcer doing a great job. 10 seconds to go in the break, and I'm sure they're going to do it one more time. There we go. Canada get us back underway. They had the possession. They need to make the most of it. They need to score, get themselves within 2, and then they need to be faultless. Can they do it? They're still going with that high, mid, low lineup. So it's still Medel, Letourneau, Caldwell, Rodriguez, 3-5-2, 2.5. Japan mixing things up again. Kusaba Ryuji has come back on, the youngster. Number 11 with the glasses, but you can see Ike and Ikezaki are out there, 21 and 7. And also out there is Wakayama. So they are going 3-3-1-1. That's a lineup that Japan likes. Why wouldn't you? A couple of 3-pointers who are almost as good as 3-5s. And your low pointers have got an extra bit of function you get when you won as opposed to 0.5. Letourneau boxed in. Good chest pass, but they need to get the ball over the halfway line. Speculative, but it's never speculative when Medel is chasing. A lot of talk of classification in wheelchair rugby, and it's an ongoing thing. Players can be classified. They are often classified and reclassified at tournaments. The classification board sits and watches the matches and decides whether players' classifications are correct. Most memorably, Riley Batt 20 years ago in Athens at his first Paralympic Games as a kid, as a teenager. He was classified up from 2-5 to 3-5 mid-tournament. And that certainly changed things as far as Australia were concerned. All of a sudden, they had to take a point away from somewhere else. Can work the other way. Players can be classified down. Cam Leslie of New Zealand from 3 to a 2-5. Roger Frey of Switzerland. It happens all the time. Great key defense, and Medel picks the lock. Canada 2 points down, and time ticking away. The clock is going to be working against them. So Ikezaki is going to take his time. Excellent block there by Wakayama on Letourneau. The 2-pointer can block a 1-pointer. That gives you a 1-point advantage on the rest of the court. Your 1-point is taking 2 points out of the equation. You can play 7 versus 6. Substitutes lining up on both sides in both boxes, you can see there. Can't substitute now, only when there is a dead ball. So the referee halted play to give a warning as opposed to a foul. I think it was against Eric Rodriguez for bumping someone. You're not meant to bump when play is dead, but it meant there was a stoppage in play, so on come the substitutes. Hashimoto, there's Hashimoto. And then Norimatsu and Ike out there. So that's Japan going really high-low with 3-5-3, 1-5 and 0.5. The extra 0.5 thanks to Kurahashi. Rio Kanikovac is back out with Patrice Dagenet. And Trevor Hirschfield. Zach Medell's always going to stay out there, so that's slightly more high-low for them, 3-5, 2-5. And then a couple of one-pointers. Last throw of the dice for Canada. And Kanikovac turn it around. Well, if anyone can, the Kanda man can. Medell reaching in, it's got to go over the halfway line. Timeout called. Needed to get the ball over the halfway line. You can see it stopped exactly on 28 seconds, so it was just as the shot clock was expiring from Ike. There was also the danger of if he got it slightly over and then got knocked back, it could have been an over and back foul. So uses a timeout. They've got 2 left, so why not use one here? 2 points to the good. Use that timeout. You can't take it with you. They can't take it with them into the semi-finals and stick it in their pocket and use it for a match against maybe Great Britain, maybe France, maybe Australia. They don't know yet. Three points clear. Medell with a lot of work to do to get it over the halfway line. He's got help in the form of Kanikovac. He's now got to get it over the halfway line. Gets it to Medell. It doesn't get to Medell. It's lost, but it goes the way of Canada. Difficult to see amongst the sea of bodies and arms outstretched. Goes off Norimatsu's chair in the end. Slice of good fortune there for Canada. So now less of an imperative to get it over the halfway line. And it turns out to be an easy score. The only drawback there for Canada was that it took a while for them to score. They're 2 points behind and only half a quarter left. 4 minutes to go, just over. They need to force a turnover and they need to force one now. Norimatsu boxed in, look at that. I say look at that, it's difficult to see. Kanikovac is down. Kishi Kotaro, 52 years old, part of the Japan team that won bronze at the Paralympics in Rio 8 years ago, and also the team that won gold in the World Championships at Homebush in Sydney, Australia. After we get Kanikovac upright and we give the floor a bit of a mop, and then at the same time turns out that Hashimoto needs a wheel change, so everybody gets a breather. Japan third in the world rankings, currently #1 Australia, the reigning world champions. United States second, Japan third, Great Britain fourth, Canada fifth, France sixth. Denmark and Germany, the other two teams here. Denmark 7th, Germany 9th, New Zealand sandwiched in between them. 3 points the difference. One-pointers toss the ball forward, and there's no way. That was beautifully blocked there, shepherded by Hashimoto. Rather than trying to pick the ball up himself and risking knocking the ball out and not getting it under control, he just blocked Kanda Kovac from getting there. It gives possession to Japan, and it also took an extra few seconds off the clock. That was incredibly clever play from the 22-year-old. Another turnover, and the lead stretches to 4, as big as it has been in this match. Medel with it all to do. And somehow he does it all. Played for Queensland in the Australian Championship a couple of years ago. Got them to the final where they lost to New South Wales. Played in the United States. Of course, plays in Canada. A number of Canadians play in the United States. Crossing over the border, there's a very good club scene in the United States. Norimatsu, though, he plays for the Fukuoka Dandelions. Whenever he plays, that club's going to get a mention. What a great name it is. Kanda Kovac gets onto the end of that one. Excellent pass over the top. Now Medel being blocked there. You can see Medel stuck, so that's makes life incredibly difficult for the Canadians trying to defend. Both Medel and Dagenet were blocked by Norimatsu. As soon as a team scores, they immediately set up on defense, and the blockers come in there to try to take high pointers out of the equation. You can see Dagenet running a screen. We've heard a hiss there, and I think that was Kanda Kovac's tire that's popped. See him, he was given quite a breather in the third quarter and hasn't quite got the lung capacity of Zach Medel, for example. There's a man stuck on the sidelines, Mike Whitehead, the veteran, 48 years old, from Windsor, Ontario. And we haven't seen any of him in this match. They've gone with Kanda Kovac rather than Whitehead. And coach's timeout, and there will be some substitutions. Patrick Cote taking his final timeout. Having a word with Zach Medel, and he just sends them back out. And by them, it turns out that it's Letourneau, Caldwell and Rodriguez. So they're more balanced lineup once again, 3-5-2-2.5. Kusaba is out there for Japan. Kusawa and Ogawa, the two one-pointers, and then the two three-pointers in Ike Nikezaki. Caldwell trying to make a pathway for Medel. Medel pops it over to Caldwell in the end. Beautifully done. Letourneau and Caldwell, 4 points, trying to take the 3 points of Ike out of the equation, but he's so tall. That's bounced past to Ikezaki. Perfection. It's back to a 4-point game with just over 2 minutes to go. Well, the one time that Ike doesn't look like the tallest person out on the court. Make sure he keeps the arms stretched, though. Looking on impassively is Coach Kishi, but he must be a happy person. His team is looking to go unbeaten through the group stages, top their group, and that means they will play second in the other group in the semi-finals. Letourneau with a chest pass to Medel. Needs to stay inside the sideline. If you take the ball out of play, if you put so much as a caster over the line, then you're out. That's why the sideline's often referred to as the fifth defender. Ogawa with the excellent inbound. 30-year-old from Tokyo. Plays for the Tokyo Blitz. An attempted steal by Medel, so close. Got a hand to it, but couldn't get it under control. Desperation stuff. Into the final minute and 3/4. Ike spending a lot of time on the deck at the moment, most likely because he's got Zach Medel for close company. Braces himself for the fall, doesn't want to smack his head against the wheel of his opponent. Floor mopped. And Medel for smacking into him from behind or leading into him. Gets to sit this one out. Courtside official there is the mother of Jordan Ducré, the one-pointer for France. She won't be allowed to be courtside in the second match in the session because her son will be playing. Japan taking their time. They are 3 points to the good. The clock is their friend, and there's also the fact that Zach Medel is off court, so why not keep him off court for as long as you can? The countdown starts. Practice your Japanese. You often see that. Defenders forcing the opposition to score so that they stop taking time off the clock. Medel forced to inbound because that was the only way he could get out of the bin. Caldwell doing well to keep hold of the ball, has to make sure he doesn't do an over and back, which is what they're trying to force him to do. Needs to bounce the ball or pass it, does so, gets it to Medel. Three points, 46 seconds. They need turnovers, they need them now. And Ike is just going to get over the halfway line. I thought they were just going to hold on to the ball and take their time, but no. Points are far more effective on the scoreboard. Yet another break in play. We've had plenty of them. It was a fast-flowing game, but then it's been a little bit stop-start in the fourth quarter. Japan were 4 points up at the end of the first quarter. Canada won the second quarter by the same margin, so it was level, 25-all at half-time. And it looks as if Japan are going to outscore Canada something along the lines of 25-20 in the second half. Medel to Letourneau. Into the dying seconds. No more shot clock, it's just the match clock. Ikizaki might try to take time off the clock. It's always nice to get the last score, regardless of whether you really need it or not. And Japan will indeed get the last score. They will get The half century. No, no score. What is referee Bon Giovanni going to call? And leaving the court. So Cody Caldwell, his group stage is over. He leaves the court. It's not a penalty try. It's going to be a corner inbound with 3 seconds to go. Best low pointer to inbound. Probably one of the best one-pointers in the game is Ogawa. Oh, beautifully done. How about that? That was a set play. Coach Kishi will be happy with that. 0.1 seconds to go. The hooter goes. Japan do indeed get the half century. They go through the group stage unbeaten. They have defeated Canada 50-46. Confirmation of the final score in Group A, and it's the last match in the group stages in Group A. Canada make it 3 from 3, defeating Japan make it 3 from 3, defeating Canada 50-46. Valiant display from the Canadians, ranked 5th in the world. They're now going to go into placement playoffs, and going to have to make sure that they do indeed finish 5th in this tournament. Disappointment there on the face of Anthony Letourneau. Strange to see him without the goggles. Job done as far as the group stage is concerned for Japan. Plenty more to come for them, though, as far as their fans are concerned. Shinakawa, three-pointer, didn't see a whole lot of him, but we saw a lot of that youngster there, number 32. Hashimoto, they're beginning to rely on him a lot more. They tended to like their 3-3-1-1 lineup, but 3.5 gives them that little bit extra, and they're trusting him a lot more. So rather than just Ike, Ikezaki, and Shimakawa, he seems to be taking over from Shimakawa a little and getting a lot more playing time in this Japan team. Medel to Letourneau was one of the main combinations. It was often Medel to Kandakovac, and then in the final quarter, likes of Letourneau, Caldwell came back on, but it was inexorable stuff. They have such strength in depth, Japan. Ike, number 21, Ikezaki, number 7 there, getting plenty of playing time, and then once they needed a little spell on the sidelines, on would come the likes of Hashimoto, 3.5-pointer. The advantage of having Kurahashi Kei, the female player, in there, giving them an extra 0.5. There she is, worth her weight in gold. There's Hashimoto, setting up nicely for the rest of the tournament. Same number of turnovers, but 6 steals to 3, and then just getting the points at the right time, getting them at the end of the quarters so that your opponents have no time to reply. That can make all the difference, and Japan did the right things. All 3 group matches won, so they top the group. United States of America come second, and those two make it through to the semi-finals. Canada and Germany will be in the placement round. Confirmation of the 2 teams through from Group A into the semi-finals.
toujours ici à l'arena du Champ de Mars. Vous voyez les stades qui viennent de rentrer sur le terrain. Dans quelques instants, le match entre la Grande-Bretagne et l'équipe de France.
It's Saturday night at Champ de Mars. We are getting ready for our final game of the day. It will be Great Britain against France.
Allez, l'arena Champ de Mars, on commence à se mettre dans le mood de ce match ultra important pour les deux équipes. Ils sont là dans la chambre d'appel. Merci de réserver un très bel accueil à l'équipe de la Grande-Bretagne.
Please welcome into the arena for their warm-up, Great Britain.
L'arena Champ de Mars, je veux entendre toutes les mains, je veux voir tout le monde debout, ils sont là, ils n'attendent plus que vous pour les supporter. Arena Champ de Mars, du bruit pour l'équipe de France. Allez, l'arena Champ de Mars, je veux t'entendre chanter sur celle-là. Comme ça. Allez, toutes les mains, tap, 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 tap. Je vous rappelle ce qui se passe ici, l'équipe de France face à la Grande-Bretagne. La victoire est impérative pour nous bleus. Ça veut dire que ce soir, il faut mettre le feu à l'arena Champ de Mars. Champ de Mars en rythme sur ce classique de la chanson française, toutes les mains. Je profite pour vous dire, avant que le match ne commence, ceux qui sont en possession d'une corde de bruit ou ceux qui ont des sifflets, merci surtout de ne pas les utiliser pour ne pas perturber les joueurs durant le match. Si vous avez des sifflets, merci de les laisser dans la poche. Et les cordes de bruit dans le sac, dans la poche, ça risque de pas rentrer. On va vous en dire un petit peu plus sur ce match entre la Grande-Bretagne et l'équipe de France. Vous voyez affiché sur le grand écran le classement actuel. La Grande-Bretagne toujours première avec 4 points devant l'Australie et la France. Vous l'aurez compris, pour la France, victoire impérative pour partir en direction des demi-finales. Mais attention, en face, la Grande-Bretagne qui a déjà 2 victoires contre l'Australie et le Danemark. Ils sont tout simplement 4e mondiaux champions paralympiques en titre, coaché par Paul Chaud. Je vous demande de faire attention durant tout le match à Stuart Robinson, le numéro 3 de cette équipe de Grande-Bretagne, auteur déjà notamment de 49 essais personnels.
The current standings in Group B going into this final match of the preliminary round on screen right now. As you can see, Great Britain top of the table with 2 wins out of 2. A win for them this evening sees them through to the semi-finals without any issues at all. France need to win after Australia's win earlier on today. If France do win, that puts 3 teams on 4 points. Then we get into all manner of tie-break situations, which we'll talk about as the game goes on. Great Britain looking towards Stuart Robinson again, 49 tries and 5 steals so far in Great Britain 2 wins.
Et en face de la Grande-Bretagne se présente bien évidemment l'équipe de France, coachée par Bob Walliker. Une victoire contre le Danemark, une défaite hier contre l'Australie. L'équipe de France qui est double championne d'Europe en titre, évidemment comment ne pas le citer. Vous n'allez pas va pouvoir le louper sur le terrain. Le capitaine avec son numéro 21, Jonathan Hiverna, auteur de 63 essais depuis le début du tournoi.
Of France, who's averaging 31 tries a game, a couple of important steals in there as well for a French team that do need to win after a loss to Australia last night. They beat Denmark in their first game, being 2 times European champions. It all comes down to French hopes of a medal to this final Paralympic round match against Great Britain.
Supporters de l'équipe de France, est-ce que vous êtes toujours là? Je vous rappelle ici la coutume, le but c'est de vous annoncer que des très bonnes nouvelles, et histoire de donner de belles idées à notre équipe de rugby fauteuil. Nouvelle médaille pour l'équipe de France paralympique. Après son frère, il est en bronze, il s'appelle Kylian Portal en paranatation, du bruit pour Kylian. Supporters de l'équipe de France, c'est le moment de vous mettre dans le mood, de donner de l'énergie à notre équipe de France qui va avoir besoin de votre soutien. Regardez sur l'écran, c'est la dance cam, vous la connaissez forcément tous. Je veux voir que des drapeaux bleus, blancs, rouges. Je veux vous voir danser, sauter, bouger. J'en bouge. Ok. Allez, jusqu'au bout, supporters de l'équipe de France. Supporters des Bleus jusqu'au bout. Il est primordial ce match pour notre équipe de France. Gardez votre énergie, vous êtes parfaits,
Ça plane pour moi. Everybody's enjoying themselves. Even Kristen Hempfling on the right, Josh Kearns on the left. But they're going to be nervous, those two. Not as nervous as the teams about to come out. Great Britain versus France. It's the final group game in Pool B here at the Champ de Mars in the wheelchair rugby. Great Britain will top the group with a win. France know that they need a win to try to get ahead of Australia. And if they do, well, it's going to be incredibly tight. We're going to be getting the calculators out and working who scored how many points against whom in previous group matches. France need to win. France win by 2, 3 or 4, they will knock out Australia. If they win by 5, they'll knock out Great Britain. Great Britain win, they top the group, and Australia are second. The Brits in the crowd are certainly hoping they top the group. The French in the crowd are looking for a win, quite simply. Out come the Brits, the reigning Paralympic champions. We started off with the captain, Gavin Walker, number 4. The star player, Stuart Robinson, number 3. Johnny Coggan, perhaps the best low pointer in the world. David Ross, a 2-pointer. Nick Cummins, a low mid-pointer, 1.5. Ollie Mannion, not seen a lot of him so far in the tournament, a 3-pointer. Tyler Walker, 20-year-old, 3.5-pointer. He's here, I think, just in case something happens to Stuart Robinson or the other 3.5-pointer we're going to see quite soon. Kieran Flynn coming out. There he is, Phipsy, with his trademark headband. Jamie Stead and Dan Kellett, the last one out. That's Team GB, the defending Paralympic champions. They won in Tokyo. Coached by Paul Shaw. Tez was already at the helm. Tez, as he's known, he was already at the helm in Tokyo. There he is. He got an MBE, as did all of the winners. Team GB having defeated Australia in their opening match, and then Denmark after that. Out come the French team, Cédric Nankin, the best 1.5-pointer in the world. The captain, Jonathan Ivernat. He's going to play, there he is on the mask, he's going to play all 32 minutes. I can virtually guarantee you that. Adrien Chalmin, number 4. Number 5, Rodolphe Jarlan, 2.5-pointer. Before that, we had Nicolas Valentin. Mathieu Thirier, low mid-pointer. We'll see a little bit of him in action. Riyad Salem, well into his 50s, former basketball player from Paris. He hung around to make sure he got his home Paralympics. Brice Morel, 2.5-pointer. Jordan Ducret, a 1-pointer. Keep an eye on him. He's a useful 1-pointer, but there's talk of him having a shoulder injury. We want to make sure, keep an eye on that right shoulder of his. Sébastien Verdun, he is going to be playing up front with Jonathan Ivernat all the way through. He's got his face on the masks in the crowd as well. And the last one to come out, Corentin Le Guen, a low pointer, but we will see plenty of him. Most likely in the starting lineup. Bob Van Acker is their coach, 54 years old, from Belgium, hence the name Van Acker. Former Belgian player and coach. French lost to Australia, beat the Danes. They need a win here today. We're now going to have God Save the King and La Marseillaise, and when the latter is sung, I can guarantee it's going to lift the roof off the Champ de Mars.
Mesdames et messieurs, merci de rester debout si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national de la France.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of France.
A huge roar from the crowd. La Marseillaise always gets the crowd going in France, and in this wonderful arena here at the Champ de Mars that has been built purely for the Olympics and Paralympics, around an open square in France that leads up, in Paris, that leads up to the foot of the Eiffel Tower. It encompasses a statue of a field marshal from the First World War as well. It's an amazing facility. It's got a roof on it, and hearing the French national anthem sung with a roof on, absolutely amazing. High-low lineup there. Stu Robinson, Aaron Phipps, Jack Smith and Johnny Coggan. 3-5-3-5, 0.5. For the French, that is their preferred lineup. It's what they're going to start with. Jonathan Hivernat, Sébastien Verdun, the 2 3-pointers. Cédric Nankin, the 1.5-pointer. And Corentin Le Guen, the low-pointer in there. So slightly different lineups. The French don't really use their 3.5-pointer, Riyad Salem. They love playing with the 3-pointers. And that enables them to play Cédric Nankin, the 1.5-pointer. They lose a tiny little bit in terms of speed, but they gain that in the ability of Cédric Nankin. The low mid-pointer, the luxury that they have of almost an extra mid-pointer out there. Team GB going very high-low, so the 2 incredible speed machines, Aaron Phipps, 41 years old, and perhaps the fastest player, there he is, Phippsy, and then the fastest player, 42 years old, Stu Robinson. Corentin Le Guen, he's not the fastest player, but he is there to do a lot of the blocking work. Get the ball inbound. The countdown to the tip-off. And the tip is picked up by Aaron Phipps. So the possession arrow is going to go the way of, well, it's a contested possession here. Possession arrow goes the way of France, so they will have the next contested possession, but Team GB don't mind about that. They are first on the board with Stu Robinson. Hivernat gets the ball over the halfway line within 12 seconds. That's the first imperative. You need to get the ball over the halfway line within 12 seconds of the shot clock. You can see the shot clock to the left of your screen, ticking down to 20, 19. Robinson makes sure that Hivernat can't get through. Coggan and Smith doing great blocking work. France get their first point and the crowd go wild. Now you can see Aaron Phipps being blocked there by Nankin and by Verdun. Johnny Coggan, a low pointer, a 0.5 pointer, getting his name on the score sheet. He's opposite number Le Guen with the inbound. And another low pointer, but the highest of low pointers, Cédric Nankin, gets the score here. Usually it's the high pointers, so Hivernat and Verdun for France, Phipps and Robinson for Team GB that get the tries. But they're going to have a lot of defensive attention, as you can see here. But the advantage of having 2 great high pointers is that one can throw it forward, the other can pick it up. Hivernat has to get the ball over the halfway line within 12 seconds. Has to bounce it every 10 seconds. Gonna have to be quick. That was within a split second of being a time violation, but he gets it to Verdun. Nankin tries to burrow in there. Phipps gets his way out. See the classifications of the players on backs of the chairs. You can also see different types of chairs. So Corentin Le Guen, just about inbounding there. You can see he's got a pick bar on the front of his chair. And then Sébastien Verdun hasn't got one on his. He and Jonathan Hivernin, they've got chairs that are made to be flexible and as quick as possible. Hivernin calls a timeout. You can see how pleased Team GB are that they forced France into a timeout. The shot clock was running down, and it was decided, the French team deciding that they weren't going to score within the time. So player timeouts left. There are 4 timeouts per team per match. And that's the first floor timeout that's been called by France. It can be used to reset the clock. And I think also you have to make sure there are other discrepancies that you can't afford to commit. For example, if you're an attacker, you can't be in the key, in the painted area that's blue there, for 10 seconds. And I think one of the French players was blocked in there, which is why Hivernin took that timeout. So if you take a timeout, the main thing is you score from it, and that's exactly what France have done. They won't mind. It's not ideal burning a timeout within 2.5 minutes, but if you score from it, then you've put it to good use. Robinson fires it forward to Smith. And how about that? Both of the low pointers for Team GB. First Johnny Coggan and now Jack Smith getting their name on the try sheet. Le Guen inbounds to Verdun. It's going to be a wheel race. The 3.5 of Phipps is just going to outpace the 3 points of Verdun. Hivernin tries to pick a way through. Phipps is reaching in. GB are swarming all over Hivernin, and it's another timeout right in front of the GB bench. Tyler Walker, the youngster, loves that one. Let's go, GB. You can hear him, see him. Look at the 2 3.5 pointers. Look at Aaron Phipps as well. He could join me in the commentary position, the amount he talks during every match. Paul Short doesn't have to make any comments here. The players are doing that for themselves, letting the play do the talking, but he is having a word with Kristin Hempfling, one of the 2 referees. The referee being Josh Kearns from USA. Nankin gets over to the delight of the crowd. So they have converted the 2 timeouts into scores, France. You don't really want to be using them up within the first half of the first quarter. You can see that Stu Robinson was boxed in there, in particular by Nankin. But Phipps was free, and Phipps got over the line. Le Guen with the immediate inbound. Team GB setting up in the key. Southern Hemisphere teams often call it European defense. Very European style of doing things. You can only have 3 in the key at any one time. Out they come, most of them. Coggan coming back in. And that was some good blocking there from Verdun. Jack Smith's going to inbound, likely to Stu Robinson. Le Guen tries to get a pick on him. Hivernin keeping Phipps company. Back comes Verdun. Verdun keeping an eye on Robinson. Phipps this way and that. Coggan comes up, gets a block on Verdun. Johnny Coggan, brilliant. It's easy to let your eyes wander to the high pointers and see all of the flashy stuff that they do, the tries that they score, but it's the ones doing the work in the trenches, the low pointers, who are the unsung heroes of this sport. French crowd trying to get behind their team, and they're matching Team GB point for point at the moment. But they're being made to work for every single point. Smith with the inbound, and then he goes to try to set picks. Smith it is who gets the pick on Verdun. Team GB's low pointers. Johnny Coggan, Jack Smith doing great work at the moment. Those are the ones we tend to follow, Phipps and Robinson. But it's the ones down in the trenches, the likes of Le Guen doing great work, and it's Coggan and Smith who are doing the great work at the moment. Excellent work by Cédric Nankin this time around. Phipps gets it over the halfway line, bounces the ball. Yverna and Verdun trying to keep an eye on GB's 2 3-pointers. That's too far, that's a turnover. France have been under the pump throughout this contest, and then Phipps puts a pass with no backspin on it that even Robinson couldn't reel in, and suddenly the first turnover of the match goes the way of the French. They've used 2 of their timeouts. Don't think Nankin's going to mind that. So we've had changes to the French lineup as well. Rodolphe Jarlon has come on, as has Jordan Ducret. So Ducret's shoulder obviously fine. Ducret on the ball, calls a timeout. They weren't going to get that over the line. You can see the shot clock then tick down below the 12-second mark. As we look at Ducret, no strapping on the shoulder, so they found themselves boxed in. There was a turnover, and if the ball goes beyond the try line on a turnover, then the inbound is taken from the corner. And a corner inbound is the most difficult inbound in the sport. So it was tough for the likes of Ducret and Jarlon to get free here. So Ducret, again, the pressure on him straight away. Who's he going to inbound to? He's got 10 seconds before the clock starts. He manages to find Jarlon. Otherwise out there, we've still got Nankin and Yverna. So Verdun has gone off. Team GB trying to get the turnover back. Jarlon, brilliant blocking there by Jarlon. Yverna gets through, and for the first time in this match, France are in the lead. The crowd love that. We've had changes for Team GB as well. Got Jamie Stead, who fires the ball forward to Nick Cummins, so also going for a more balanced lineup here. Stead 2.5, Cummins 1.5. Stu Robinson still out there, and Johnny Coggan. So 3.525, 1.5.5. Yverna gets it. He's going to go past Coggan. Stead was down and appealing. A legitimate hit, says Kristin Hempfling, the referee. Tez disagrees. Be that as it may. Yverna, was the hit Nankin on Stead. Yverna scores, and the French are in the lead here. The stadium announcer calls for applause for Jamie Stead. Back up on 2 wheels, and he gets the inbound from Nick Cummins. Ducret trying to push. Nankin is keeping Stead out of the way. Robinson's going to have to do it all on his own. Nankin's blocked Stead. Yverna comes back. Coggan's up there trying to make a path for Robinson, and he does. 1:35 is the board being held up there by Cédric Dubourg. Cédric Dubourg, the man with the board, is holding it up. 1:35, so that's when he's saying that France should score. We're into the last 2 minutes. If you've been listening to me commentating for a while, you'll know that timestamps are all important in the last 2 minutes as Roland goes over. You want the last score of every quarter. If you can get the last score of all 4 quarters, that's a 4-point advantage over your opponents. Robinson gets over, and it's Team GB who score on 1:35 or more or less. Now the board being held up by Cédric Dubourg this time for the French is 1:05. There's a board being held up by the Team GB bench as well that says A. So that's some tactics for them. Roland has to make sure he doesn't go over and back. Yvernat gets that out of the air. So he's going to try to take his time, and Stu Robinson says, no, you're going over when I say you go over. So forcing the French to score. That gives Team GB a little more time on the clock to score. So will they try to score on 1:05? I'm sure they will. Can Robinson get out there? He can't, but Jamie Stead is there, and they're going to score on 1:05. So every board that the French hold up, 52 is the one now from Cédric Dubourg. It's always an interesting time, the last 2 minutes, last 2.5 minutes nowadays. Ducré needs to get the inbound done within 10 seconds. The clock's not going to start until it's touched, so now Yvernat needs to get over the halfway line. Bear in mind the French have used 3 of their timeouts already. Is a 4th one coming? Roland needs to get it over the halfway line. He does. Ducré can get it. He can't. It's a turnover. Ducré did his level best there. There's not a lot else he could have done. Had it been the likes of Verdun or Yvernat there that have raced on to the end of it. So a corner inbound. One of those awkward ones, but Cummins makes it look easy. When do GB want to score? They want to score as quickly as possible. Get over the line right now. No, they're going to take their time. Right. It was either score straight away and leave more than 40 seconds on the clock as they tried to push Robinson out of play. Roland trying to push Robinson out of play. Robinson called a timeout. Now, Robinson was going to call the timeout anyway to try to take time off the clock. He's been forced to call it now with 23 seconds left on the shot clock. So the best that Team GB can do without taking another timeout would be to score and leave France 7 seconds. Maybe they will take 2 timeouts. The main thing is to score. Right, they've scored reasonably quickly. 13.3 seconds left for France to score. Swarming defense from Team GB, not back in the key at all. Roland with it all to do. Can he get over the halfway line? Yes. Can he get over the line? Yes. France score and take the lead with 1.8 seconds to go. And there's nothing that Team GB can do. Stead sticks it in his lap. And at the end of the first quarter, to the delight of the French crowd, it's dead level. It's 13 points apiece. An absolute thriller, but it is exactly what we expected. The last time these two teams met was 3 months ago at the Canada Cup, the big warm-up tournament. Biggest annual tournament when you don't have World Championships, Paralympics, Euros, that kind of thing. And for third place Team GB defeated France 50-43. It was Japan and Australia who contested the final. 1 turnover apiece, no steals, 13 tries each. It really is an incredibly tight contest, perhaps the only difference being that the French have used 3 of their timeouts, Great Britain only 1. So Team GB defeated France at the Canada Cup. Prior to that, Euro 23 in May 2023. It was held in Cardiff, so in Wales, but France won the final over Team GB 55-49. A lot of history between these two teams, obviously. France also defeated Great Britain at the World Cup in Weiler almost 2 years ago. GB were leading it for much of the match and then lost it in the final quarter, and then went to pieces after that. Both teams went to pieces, in fact. France losing in the quarterfinals. So highlights from the first quarter. It really was nip and tuck, and French found themselves under the pump, struggling, making to work hard to get their tries over the line. Managed to do so using 3 timeouts, forced a turnover towards the end. Managed to get the final score, so it's 13 apiece. The crowd up for it here at the Champ de Mars. Intimidating atmosphere for Team Great Britain. As the Mexican wave goes all the way around, we're going to see the statue of Field Marshal Joffre. Look at that, wonderful. An amazing venue for an amazing sport. And 2 of the best teams, the 2 best teams in Europe, duking it out at the moment. Spots in the semi-final on the line, and there's nothing to choose between them. Second quarter about to get underway. And it's France who are going to have the inbound, and it's Nicolas Valentin who has come on. Mid-pointers out there with Adrien Chalmin. Verdun, Hiverna being kept out. Chalmin, and excuse me, it's Thirier who's out there. So France going 3-3-1-5, 0.5 with Hiverna, Verdun, Thirier and Chalmin. Team GB back with their high-low. Aaron Phipps gets over the try line after that early turnover for Team GB, so it was first possession for France. It was a turnover, it was actually a held ball, so the equivalent of a turnover, or half a turnover really, so GB get the first score, but France will get the next possession. So either when there's a held ball or at the start of the third quarter, but we're nowhere near that yet. Swarming defense from Team GB. Verdun with no way through, and now Hiverna tries his way through. Great blocking from Jack Smith. No room there. It's another turnover. Everything going Team GB's way. Nothing going France's way. It's too high for Hiverna. Stu Robinson, I think, had got a little bit of a pick on his, not that they have pick bars, but he got a block on Verdun. Do we have a reaching foul by Verdun. So, referee Josh Kearns says that Verdun reaches and makes contact with the arm rather than the ball. I touched the ball, says Sébastien Verdun. He's got a good command of English. He played for Leicester Tigers in the British comp. So, Verdun sits this one out in the sin bin. And then Aaron Phipps is going to block him in there. Stu Robinson takes his time. Verdun can't get out, and he's not going to elect to inbound. But there's a coach's timeout called by Bob Van Acker, and that gets Verdun out of the box, the sin bin, out of the trap that was laid for him outside the sin bin, and B means that they can make substitutions. Very tactical game. Tactics could come into play later on. Would Team GB like to lose by 1 or 2 points, still top the group, and then deny Australia a place in the semis? I don't think they'd be as calculating as that. They're 2 points to the goods. They're going to be looking to win this match. They set up in the key, and then out they come. The familiar push. The left-right rolling of the shoulders of Yverna, but he can't get through. Smith says, "You shall not pass." 4 in the key. It's a turnover. In fact, I think it was 10 seconds stuck in the key for one of the French attackers. One of the French attackers got stuck in the key, so it was a turnover. And it was bunted forward by Smith. Robinson got on the end of it, so suddenly, from 13 all at the end of the first quarter, it's now 16-13. France yet to score a point in this quarter, even though they had the first possession. Team GB came out all guns blazing. A dominant display from the reigning Paralympic champions thus far. Jarlon is back out, gives it to Yverna. And finally they get a score on the board. So they're currently playing Yverna, Jarlon, Ducret and Nankin. 3-2-5-1-5-1. Team GB with the high-low. They're also holding up a board, Team GB, with a key on it. And the key of it's an upside-down key, so that's play right forward and get into the opposition's key, I think, is that one, and it seems to be working here. Got to bounce the ball. That's what Thierry manages to do. Nankin picks it up, but he won't have the wheels to get past Robinson. Needs Yverna to come and help him out. That's what he does. Jarlon to Nankin. Good hands there from the French. Jarlon blocks Phipps, so does Nankin. Ducret comes in. Phipps gets it free to Robinson. Robinson with Yverna trying to look in the rear view mirror and does a great job of it, but ends up going out of bounds. So no penalty try. Yverna is going to have to go to the sin bin. Off he goes. And not only is it 4-on-3, but more importantly, it's 8-on-5. You can see he was looking left and right, and then the casters went over the line. Yverna has to sit this one out. A wry smile there from Robinson. Robinson, who's played all around the world, played for Victoria in the Australian Championship just over a year ago. Helped them to the final and almost to victory. Went to overtime, but New South Wales won it, as they tend to do. Riley Batts, New South Wales. Nankin receives the inbound. Great chest pass, the torso and upper body that Nankin has. Absolutely amazing for a 1.5 pointer. Swarming around, bees around a honeypot once again. Nankin has it, it's lost, it's picked up again by Jarlon. Brilliant work. Right in front of the GB bench. Ducret, can he pick it up? Not quite. It's another turnover. Ducret again, a big ask for him. Spinal cord injury, he's 1 point, he's a one-pointer. He's not going to have the torso and the core to be able to pick that one up. Also with the shoulder injury that he maybe has. So yet another turnover. It's a 4-point game. GB bench holding up the upside down key symbol to their players, saying get up in the opposition's key. And they're getting into the French faces, they really are. The crowd delighted to see Yvernin. Coggan comes back to help out on defense. Yvernin works his way around and gets over. Working up a sweat, he really is. Yvernin, another player who's played in Australia. He played for the West Coast Enforcers in Perth in the most recent Australian Championships in Adelaide last May. Coggan over the line again. The bench always love it when Johnny Coggan scores. Four points clear, Team GB. They really have taken it to the French in this second quarter. Dominant display. What can the French do about it? It's a beautiful chest pass from Jarlon. Jarlon to Yvernin. Both of them play for Stade Toulousain. So the Toulouse, it's a big rugby union team, and they have a very big wheelchair rugby team as well. Jarlon, Yvernin, Mathieu Thirier plays for them as well. Still 4 points the difference. Jarlon with a real push. Needs to get over the halfway line, does. Needs to bounce it, does. Ducret, great block on Phipps. Nankin comes in and escorts Jarlon home, coast to coast. 3 points the difference. Almost went astray there. Jarlon nearly got a hand in there, so the French up and about at the moment. Phipps quietens them down, though. Ducret, the inbound to Jarlon. We've seen nothing of Sébastien Verdun in this second quarter. Phipps reaching in. Not illegally, though. Jarlon stuck. Gets it free to Nankin, and he will pick that up when the Parisian goes over the line. Inbound from Smith to Robinson. The safest place for a wheelchair rugby ball is in the lap of Stu Robinson. But then forced into a pass, forced into a turnover. Yvernin picks up the ball. Commentators curse there, just talking about the safe pair of hands. Great pass forward, great hit by Robinson. Ducret, can he pick it up? Ducret over the line. France get it to within 2. The crowd love it. There's even a Ducret mask in the crowd there, along with the Yvernins, the Salems, the Verdins. What a match this is turning out to be. Jarlon with a reaching foul. Slightly going to take the wind out of the sails of the French. Smith with the inbound, and all of a sudden it's 4-on-3, and it is 8 plays 5.5. Phipps is going to want to go over at 1:05. That's the magic time. He's going to look at the clock, and over he goes. Out comes Jarlon. 3 points the difference. Who's going to get the vital last score? The French were 4 behind. If they can get the last score, they can get it back to 2. The stadium announcer gets the fans all worked up, as if they weren't already worked up as it is. It's an infringement against Hivernin, or has he taken the final timeout? No, it's an infringement against Aaron Phipps. A reaching foul from Aaron, or he might have gone over the line. So the board being held up as a lightning bolt. Make of that what you will. France are going to take their time. The shot clock has been reset to 40, so they can almost make the match clock expire at the end of this second half. And at the moment, they're playing 8 on 5.5. Aaron Phipps is in the bin. Everyone blocking everyone else. Hivernin is going to go over the line as late as possible. I very much doubt whether he's going to take the final timeout, or is he? Is he going to take the final timeout? Yes, he is. So that's the last floor timeout burnt by the French. But it means the shot clock is reset to 15. It's the same as the match clock. And Aaron Phipps, bottom right, can't come back on. So France are going to look to score as late as possible and get the final score of this second quarter. Team GB are going to let them do it. Hivernin goes over the line. 0.2 of a second to go. No risks likely to be taken here. Robinson isn't going long. They're going to hold the ball in Robinson's lap. And despite the fact that the French got the final score and managed the clock well, it's Team GB who take a 23-21 lead into the big break. It was level pegging at the end of the first quarter, 13 apiece. And then Team GB raced into a 4-point lead. The French clawed it back, halved the deficit. It's still a 2-point lead for Great Britain. And obviously there are 2 quarters to come, so there will be 2 contested possessions each. One team will start the one quarter, the other team will start the other, most likely, unless there's a held ball. So no advantages there. Big advantage for Team GB is that they've got 3 floor timeouts left. France have used all of theirs. They went down the roster, did Team GB. The likes of Nick Cummins coming in. Saw a little bit of him at the start of the second quarter. We also saw Jamie Stead coming in there, so more of a balanced lineup. French also going more balanced. So they had Rodolphe Charland, the 2.5-pointer out there for much of it. Jordan Ducret came on. There's Charland. And he was doing solid work. A few balls went astray. Not that one there. Into the safe arms of Cédric Nankin. 5 turnovers from the French. They've got a steal as well, so that makes it -4, if you will. No steals, 1 turnover for Team GB. Hands in pockets from them, not making any fouls, just the 1 turnover where a pass from Robinson went astray, and it means that Team GB, the defending champions, lead 23-21 at the big break.
S'il y a un supporter français qui me lance, il ne connaît pas cette chanson, je ne comprends plus rien à ce qui se passe ici. Supporter du Champ de Mars, c'est le moment, je veux voir tout le monde debout. L'équipe de France qui a 2 essais de retard, ils vont avoir besoin de vous. Debout, 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 debout. Allez, la tribune en face, debout, 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 debout. Vous avez les paroles sur l'écran géant. Allez, c'est pas mal.
Half-time at the Champ de Mars in the wheelchair rugby, the last of the group games. And it's the reigning Paralympic champions, Great Britain. The Tokyo winners looking to defend their crown, and they lead the host nation at 23-21. But the host nation, they have got a capacity crowd behind them here. 16 minutes for them to turn it around and try to qualify for the semi-final. And they've gone back to their more traditional lineup, the French. Ivana, Verdun, Nankin and Le Guen, 3-3-1-5.5. And speaking of traditional lineups, that's what Team GB have out there. Robinson on the ball at the moment. Phipps, Coggan and Smith, 3-5-3-5.5.5. So the archetypal high-low lineup for them. A reminder that the French have used all of their floor timeouts. So absolutely no way for them to stop the clock now when they're out on the floor. A lot of good blocking being done there by Verdun and Nankin. Nankin taking Smith out of the equation. Ivana goes over. So it's a 2-try deficit at half-time. France with the opening possession because the possession arrow was in their favour. It's now, of course, in Team GB's favour. A timeout called there by Aaron Phipps. He'd been well and truly picked by Cédric Nankin. Great defence from the 40-year-old Parisian. So that's a second timeout used by Team GB. Timeouts used when you don't think you're going to get the ball over the halfway line within the first 12 seconds of a play. When you don't think you're going to score before the shot clock expires after 40 seconds, or if one of your teammates is stuck in the key when you're attacking, which you can only be in there for 10 seconds. Phipps well and truly picked by Nankin and Le Guen, but Robinson was free. Robinson then herring back to defend. And there was a big hit by Phipps on Hivernin. Hivernin now stuck. Releases himself now and receives a perfect pass from his captain. Team GB have put a few players in the box, in the substitutes box for them to come out. Now, coach's timeout has been taken. Verdun to Hivernin. That's their dynamic duo. So, coach's timeout enables GB to make a couple of changes. Off goes Phipps. Coggan also off, and in their place we have Cummins and Stead on the ball to Cummins, to Robinson. The bench likes it, the crowd doesn't. A couple of mid-pointers in there. Verdun won't have the wheels to defeat Robinson, but he has the smarts. France back within one. They're one down but don't have possession. They're one down but don't have a timeout left. So they're slightly up against it, Bob Van Aker's team. Things can turn easily though. In the meantime, they need to score. And then they need to start forcing turnovers. Robinson takes the inbound, then takes it over the halfway line, fires it over the halfway line, and Stead cruises over. Hivernin then blocks him. There's the upside down key symbol. So back the defenders go into the key, setting up in a European defense. You can have 3 in the key when you're defending. If the fourth one gets knocked in, then it's a penalty or a penalty try. Attackers can be in there for 10 seconds, and Nankin needs to get out. Hivernin looking this way and that. Very tactical game. Nankin gets back in and scores. Stead takes the inbound. Needs to get the ball over the halfway line before it ticks down and calls a timeout. Before it ticked down to 28, it was about to tick down. You can see the shot clock there, 29. Shot clock 29, GB 28, France 27. It's a tight match, this one. So neither team has a floor timeout left, and we have one period, 5 minutes and 11 seconds. That means that passes are going to be flying around left, right, and center. It's going to be desperation stuff. Whichever team can keep their cool, the better is going to triumph. GB have been in the lead for most of this match. Great defending there by Verdun. But if anyone can spring a trap, it's Robinson. Robinson finds Stade. Great patience from Robinson. That is what is going to be called for in the remaining 13 minutes of this tie. Whoever can remain patient, keep their heads when all around them are losing theirs. Ivernat. Blocked by Stade and Robinson, but the fact that Stade and Robinson were taking care of him meant that Verdun could get himself free, and he did so perfectly. 1 point in it. Robinson's been the one taking the inbounds. Said it before, it's a safe place, Stu Robinson's lap. Has to make sure he doesn't roll back over the halfway line there. Doesn't. And this time doesn't fire it to Stade, fires it to Cummins. Le Guen with a great inbound. Le Guen, 0.5 pointer, and then the inbound, and look at that. Great progress made by a 0.5 pointer. Hands it off to Verdun. Corentin Le Guen take a bow. Fellow low pointer there, Adrien Chalmin, appreciates the hard work. Stade picks up the inbound. Give and go. No, not a give and go. It's going to be a turnover. It's got to be batted over the halfway line. Cummins is there. Great work by Robinson. That was so close to being a turnover. Ivernat comes back. Le Guen tries to chart a course for him. Knockout blocks Robinson. Ivernat gets through. Everybody involved there. From 0.5 up to 3. A true team game. He may have 81 tries in this tournament, but if he has, it's down to the likes of Nankin, Le Guen, setting the blocks for them every time. Coach's timeout taken by Paul Shaw. Bob Vanacker can make the most of it as well, and so can the stadium announcer to shout "Allez les Bleus," get the crowd behind the team. 3:32 left, and it's 31-30 in favour of the reigning Paralympic champions. The team that surprised everybody by winning in Tokyo. Caught a few teams unawares. Australia were undercooked. Japan hoping to win it on home soil, and it ended up being GB defeating USA in the final. Changes during that coach's timeout, and GB having gone high-low once again. Robinson still out there, Smith still out there. Back come Phipps and Coggan. And it's still the starting lineup for the French as well, the one they like. Ivernat and Verdun, the three-pointers. Nankin, the 1.5 pointer, and Le Guen, the low pointer. Smith comes up. Ivernat blocked in, but finds Verdun. It's got Robinson for company. Looking left and right. Nankin. Who can? Nankin. Gets it back to within a point. Equipment change required. Marie Grant comes out and is changing a wheel for Aaron Phipps. Barry Mason out there. Tom Dalton, I think it is, actually giving her a hand. Those wheels cost a four-figure sum in any currency you want to look it up in, be it pounds for Team GB, euros for the French. Expensive equipment. And the equipment managers have a lot of tyres to repair. doing sterling work. GB setting up in the key on defense. Good tactic when time is running out in a half, and then out they come. Well, that was a blitz. It was originally meant to be a key defense, but obviously a set play. Perhaps that's the one on the lightning bolt. Yves now finds himself stuck. Nankin tries to make some room for him. Up comes Phipps. Great block there by Le Guen. Yves still stuck. Gets it over to Verdun. What a combination. Applause from the GB team, but I think that's more for the solid defense that they came up with. It's fired forward, it's going to bounce off, and I thought Phipps might let that go out of play. But he's going to pop it forward to Coggan. Johnny Coggan, that's at least a hat-trick for him. Now, Cédric Dubord is holding up a board that says 135. That is when they want the French team to score. That's the theory. Can they put it into practice? Remember, whoever gets the last score has done his team a huge favor. I say his because neither of these squads has a female player. The French have never had one, and Team GB don't have Kylie Grimes or Coral Beatty. 135, perfection. Perfection for the French. They're within a point. If they can get the last score, they will remain within a point. Team GB, though, have the possession arrow. You can see that there on the scorer's table. So Team GB will start the fourth quarter. Unless, of course, there is a jump ball between now and then. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? 52 seconds. 52, that means even if Team GB take 40 seconds, and remember, there's no timeout, so they can't take any more than that, then it means that 12 seconds would be remaining. Well, GB, what do they do now? They're in possession at 105. Inbound between the two low pointers. Robinson picks it up. No board being held up. Scoring with 55 to go is always ideal. So the team knew that. They didn't need to be told that. And they score with 53.6 to go. So even if the French take... Well, Christian Hempfling has seen Aaron Phipps getting too close to Jonathan Yverna on the inbound. Phipps goes into the bench, so this is into the bin. So this is going to be an easy score for the French. So he goes in front of Yverna, but I think he got too close. Tez is asking the whys and wherefores of that decision. I think he got too close to Le Guen, who was doing the inbound. And that's why he has been sent to the sin bin. It was stopped clock, so that means that the French can change their lineup, and they have done. Jarlon has come on, as has Ducret, replacing Le Guen and Verdun. Paul Shaw still wants, I think he wants the decision overturned by Christian Hempfling, and that's not going to happen. Phipps in the bin, so it is. They're going to try to score as quickly as possible. Nankin tries to pick that one up. Can he get over the line quickly? Robinson stops him. The longer they can take, and Jarlon's going to get over the line. Ideally, France wanted to score with more than 40 seconds left, with about 45 seconds left, guaranteeing them at least one more possession. Great swarming defense by the 5.5 points of Team GB that was on there. So Phipps wanted to inbound, so he put his hand up when he came out of the sin bin. Handed the ball off to Robinson. Give and go between the two of them. Team GB are now going to let the clock expire and then try to get over with a second or two to go, if that. Robinson trying to draw a reaching foul, has to bounce the ball, gives it to Phipps. Phipps is now going to try to score with a quarter of a second to go. Gets it to Smith, who gets over the line with 1,000th of a second to go. Jack Smith, an incredible performance from him, who's been on court all 24 minutes. And at the final break, Team GB lead 37-35. You can see what that meant to the Team GB bench. They got the final score on the last possession of the period. They are going to have possession coming into the final quarter. So a 2-point lead for them. 5 turnovers from the French, just the 1 from Team GB. 1 steal for the French. Penalties, though, slightly more. And Team GB with their noses well and truly in front. Still can be turned around. Mind you that the French need to win it by at least 2. So they need a 4-point swing. They need to win it by 2 if they are to finish second in the group and deprive Australia of a place in the semi-finals. At the moment, the Steelers, Team Australia, they're going to be feeling, well, they're going to be nervous. But they're going to be happy with the way things are going. Team GB are going to be very happy with the way things are going. They have been the class of the field in this group, at least. Japan have looked amazing in Group A, and they won all 3 of their matches. But either way, as we look at highlights of the third quarter, it's been a wonderful advertisement for this sport, and if you're watching it for the first time, I really do hope you watch it again. Not just at the Paralympics, but throughout the year. A sky full of stars. And we have a court full of stars. Beautiful scenes here at the Champ de Mars. The fans have loved every moment of it. Stadium announcers doing a great job. That's a Brittany flag there for Corentin Le Guen, the low pointer. And even a Brittany phone case there. That's in the northwest of France, where Corentin Le Guen comes from. But Le Guen and France find themselves adrift, 37-35, with it all to do in the final quarter if they are to turn things around. The fourth period gets underway. Team GB with possession, and a 2-point game may well become a 3-pointer very soon. That's what Phipps wants. They've gone high-low. Coggan, Smith, Phipps and Robinson make sure that there's room for Phipps to get through. High-low for Team GB. The French also high-low, their equivalent of high-low, but it's not Nankin out there. They have a different 1.5-pointer in Mathieu Thirier. It's still Le Guen, the low pointer, and then the 2 3-pointers in Hivernat and Verdun. Hivernat not finding a way through. No timeouts left, remember, and, well, if you haven't got a timeout left, what do? You go back to the well, you go to the combo that served them so well for years now, between Verdun and Hivernat. But then there's another combination that has served the team well. When you've got 2 3.5-pointers in your team, one of them can throw it the length of the court, the other one can catch up with it, and that is exactly what Phipps and Robinson do. GB setting up in the key. Always a good ploy when you're ahead and it's the final quarter and you want to take time off the clock. Thirier comes through. receives the ball there, goes over the line. Yvernin and Thirier know one another from Stade Toulouse. Phipps wins the race. It's end-to-end stuff at the moment. Brits in the crowd enjoying every minute of this. They'll have come over on the train. Trains, planes, everybody there. Everybody turning up to support the reigning champions. The reigning champions setting up in a European defence and then swarming out. Served them so well, it's a great defence. Making sure there's only 3 in the key. Out comes Phipps. And a bit of trouble there for Verdun. He's stuck in the key but gets out of it. Batted away and it's a turnover. Who's going to win the race? Well, it's a reset shot clock. Team GB almost forced a turnover. It's a two-way turnover, if you like. And I don't think Team GB are going to be too disappointed because there might be, A, there might be another turnover. B, it's taking a lot of time off the clock. Shot clock reset for the French because GB were in possession of it. Who's stuck in the key? Is it 4 in the key for the French? Or sorry, is it 10 seconds in the French? No, it's 4 in the key for Team GB, and Jack Smith has to go to the bin. Great work there by Verdun to make sure that he didn't try to reach for the ball, he made sure that Phipps couldn't get there. Now, Jack Smith was the 4th player in the key for Team GB, so he's in the bin. Ducré with the inbound from the corner. Now, it's not too bad for Team GB because it's 8.5, 8 on 7.5, but the score there, nicely done by Jarlon. Phipps was being kept company, so France eventually get the score, but it took them a minute. They're 2 points adrift, and they took over a minute to score there. Big hit by Yvernin, but Phipps shakes it off. Restores the 3-point advantage. A reminder that the French need to win by at least 2 if they're to overtake Australia. Phipps a reaching foul. And the crowd are going to give him pantomime boos. Robinson with a grin. I think he would quite fancy a second or 2, or a minute or 2 even, in the bin just for a... Yes, you can see him reaching there, Phipps, on Jarlon. So Yvernin takes it up. This time it's 8 on 5.5. 4 players on 3, but there's 3.5 points of classification in the sin bin. Yvernin needs to score quickly. Now he's going to make sure that Ducré has set a trap to make sure that, well, there's a couple of them setting a trap to make sure that Phipps can't get out without raising his arm to say, I will take the inbound, and that's what he's done. And a coach's timeout has been called. That's one way of springing the trap. Paul Shaw sends Jamie Stead into the substitutes box. Nick Cummins as well. Substitutions can be made. Adam Scaturo there with the board. Former USA player. And he's now on the bench for Team GB. So there could be someone taking over the head coach mantle at some point. GB still high-low at the moment. They opted not to make any changes. They're going to take their time here. French set up in the key. Gives the French crowd time to sing and encourage them. And it's a Mexican standoff. Robinson waited for Verdun to come out. Out came Verdun. Robinson goes through, saying, come at me. Le Guen with the inbound to Yvernin. Nonquin tries to chart a course for him. Yvernin needs to get it over the halfway line and does. Reminder that neither team has any timeouts left. Yvana scores quickly, it's what the French need. They're 2 points adrift. They need to score, and they need to force turnovers. But when it's in the lap of a 3.5 pointer, that is easier said than done. Phipps makes it a 3-point game once again. As things stand, the host nation are not going to make the semi-finals. They'll still play off for placement and can finish as high as 5th. But the crowd certainly want them to make it through to the semis. And that's what Yvana wants as well. Going through there on one wheel. This match is still alive. 4 minutes to go. If they can get one turnover, they can get a couple. Turnovers tend to come like buses. You wait for a while and they all come along at once. End-to-end stuff though. When you've got two high pointers out there in Phipps and Robinson, one can throw it the length of the court, the other one can pick it up. Out comes Phipps. Stadium announcer doing everything in their power to motivate the fans doing everything in their power to motivate the players. Yvana has not been off court for a second of this campaign. That's 93 minutes that he's been on court, and I do believe Stu Robinson is the same. Must be mentally exhausting as well for the French to have Robinson just pick up the ball, go coast to coast and score. His 65th try of the tournament already. And you'd have to say plenty more to come. It's been incredible defense from Team GB. Look how hard it has been for Yvana to get through. He gets through every time, but they make him work for it. And Team GB know that they just need to take care of business, wind the clock down, keep scoring on their own possessions. And when you've got Robinson and Phipps, that tends to work. Now Phipps needs to get it over the halfway line, and he did it too late. It's a turnover for the French. There is the first turnover that they needed. Phipps couldn't get it over the halfway line before the shot clock wound down. He needed to throw that pass out a little bit earlier. So, there's a first turnover. It's an inbound from the side. Listen to the crowd. They're bouncing, they're jumping. The crowd singing, if you don't jump, you're not French. Yvana gets over the line. It's a one-point game. This match has come to life. The release pass. The pressure valve is released for Team GB. Boos and catcalls from the crowd. The British bench don't mind that. They're happy to play the pantomime villains to their local rivals. Equipment change required. Out comes Cédric Dubord. I don't think it is a wheel, so out comes a wheel as well. Mechanics going to follow. René Ducrot comes out with the wheel. But there is Yvana getting over the line after that crucial turnover. Nervous time, so Phipps with 19 today. Robinson's been setting him up. Yvana with 26. He has shouldered the load. They're 2 points adrift. Phipps comes out. Yvana needs to get through, needs to score, needs a turnover. Imagine if we go to overtime. 2 minutes to go. Pressure on Smith for the inbound. Phipps gets it. Verdun leaning over him, tries to push him to the sideline. The sideline's like an extra defender. Phipps knows that, goes this way and that, takes his time, rolls over and puts a dagger in the hearts of the French. Takes the air out of the crowd, but give it a second or two and they will be back up. Here they come again. Le Guen with the inbound. Listen to the crowd. 100 seconds to go. Yvernin needs a score. France need a score and they need a turnover. It's handed off to Verdun. The French get the score that they need. There's going to be no boards now, no timestamps. It's all about the scoreboard. It's all about scoring for Team GB. It's all about getting a turnover for the French. It's Coggan. Incredible. The low pointer scores again. Manages to outpace Jonathan Yvernin. Incredible. And you can see what it means to Nick Cummins on the bench. Swarming defense. Yvernin gets out, avoids the pick, avoids the sideline. Can't avoid Phipps and Robinson. They need a score. There's a minute to go. He's exhausted. No timeouts. Phipps refuses to reach in. He doesn't want to give a reaching foul. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Verdun goes over. There's still hope. They need a turnover and they need one now. Almost gets a hand in there, Verdun. There's no way he can keep pace with Phipps. There's the upside down key. Out they come. Robinson. Yvernin gets past him. He gets past the low pointers. Robinson gets back. Verdun scores. We're down to a one-point game. They need a turnover and they've got 30 seconds in which to provoke it. Robinson has the ball though and he's going to give it to the low pointer once again. This time it's Smith who's going to cruise over the line. GB's low pointers. Incredible work from them. 17.4 seconds to go. France need to score immediately and get a turnover immediately. That's the only way they can force overtime. They're two adrift with 10 seconds to go. Can Yvernin get there? Robinson's waiting for him, so's Phipps. He can't get over the line. It's going to be too late for France. Nankin gets it. 1.2 seconds to go. What can they do? Can they force a turnover? The clock will start once it's touched after the inbound. It's held by Robinson and Team GB win 50-49. They top the group. France will not make the semis. Team Great Britain, the reigning champions, are through. 50-49. The host nation gave it their all. Yvernin was out there for 32 minutes. Never stopped, never gave up, never say die. What an incredible performance from Yvernin. An even better performance from Team GB. Jack Smith was out there for every second as well. What a performance from him. The 33-year-old from Leicester Tigers. Incredible. 50-49, Great Britain win it. Well, the crowd certainly enjoyed that. They will not be delighted with the result, but they have seen an absolutely fantastic performance. They have seen the reigning Paralympic champions defeat the host nation and two-time European champions. France had defeated Great Britain in the final of the Euros, both in 2022 here in Paris and 2023 in Cardiff. Yves, he gave it his absolute all. He really did. Incredible performance from him. Le Guen, the low pointer. Heroes all. Every single one of them. But it's the Union Jack that is going through to the semi-finals. Wonderful, absolutely incredible for the fans here in the Champ de Mars. They'll have enjoyed every minute of it. A lot of them disappointed with the results, but it's been an incredible atmosphere. Highlights from the final quarter where Team GB went high-low, got the big guns out. Yves and Verdun, the French big guns, they tried their level best to keep their team in it. They were 2 points adrift. They managed to get one of the two turnovers they needed, but couldn't get the second. Yves did not stop, even on one wheel, all the way through. But at the end of the day, primarily the big guns of Phipps and Robinson, and then the low pointers, Smith and Coggan. Incredible work from them throughout the fourth quarter. Delight for Team GB. Their campaign goes on as they look to defend the crown they won in Tokyo. We can look at the statistics, we can look at the turnovers, we can look at the steals, the penalties, but the only one that really counts is 50 top left and 49 top right. It was that close. It was who scored when. Great Britain were in the lead from the start of the second quarter onwards, and it was always tough for the French to try to come back, and it ended up being too much for them. It means that Australia are through in second place, and Great Britain top the group. Great Britain through to the semi-finals where they'll face USA. Australia versus Canada is who it's going to be. The French finishing third in their group. So close, so close, within 1 point of dethroning the reigning Paralympic champions. They will go through to placement matches. But those are the semi-finals. Japan versus Australia, Great Britain versus United States of America. Absolutely incredible. You couldn't wish for better matchups for that. Champ de Mars, what a stadium this has been, and it's slowly emptying now, but the fans trying to catch their breath after seeing Team Great Britain defeat the host nation by the narrowest of margins, 50 points to 49. If you don't love wheelchair rugby, after that, you never will. Fans in the crowd sending messages home. The GB fans will be delighted. Their campaign continues. They won in Tokyo and they are through to the semi-finals here, having broken the hearts of the French, winning 50-49. The French won't make the semi-finals, but Team GB are through and they are up for a medal and trying to defend their crown.
je t'ai appelé Samuel Tribune C. Ah, en fait, là c'est Tribune D. Ouais. A.
My name is Anthony Letourneau and I play with